Hi, it's Elise here at Bowman Library with a whole new teen book spotlight. So for this time, our spotlight, this go around, we are taking a look at YA books that deal with some sort of a natural disaster. Now, I will tell you this, some of the books we have that we're going to take a look at today are like realistic stories, okay? We also have others, because this happens a lot in YA, especially with natural disasters, as we start to verge into the dystopian, post-apocalyptic type realm, okay? So we have a combination of some that are actually really happen, some that could honestly happen, some that might seem a little like science fiction-y, far-fetched, that dystopian type feel. But that means there's just a little something for everyone, okay? So we have 6 amazing stories we're gonna take a look at, so let's get started. Our first one is a graphic novel. Okay, this is by the amazing Don Brown. Okay, I love that he does history graphic novels that are like nonfiction. Okay, this one is called Drowned City. This is all about Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans. Okay, so not only does this book take you through the events that happened on those incredible, horrific days that Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans and the surrounding area all the way back in 2005, but then Don Brown does this amazing thing where he looks at the timeline and progression of the events that take place from 2005 all the way up until 2012. Now, you will get to experience what it was like at the moment of the devastation, as well as the long-lasting effects that were felt from years to come, some even to this day. Like, Katrina changed things and people about that city, okay? Now, Don Brown does not sugarcoat what happens, okay, as well as what could have happened better in terms of the response by the government and other individuals, as well as like the steps that were taken, what was learned from due to the events of Katrina. Now, it does bring hope because it shows that rebuilding, shows the efforts, as well as the people of New Orleans, how they came together to help their city and one another. I will tell you, this graphic novel is not for the faint of heart, but it's an impactful look at a disaster that happened almost 20 years ago that we are still learning from today. This is Drowned City. Trapped. Okay, as you can kind of tell by the cover, kind of where we're headed here. It is the winter time. We are in the Northeast, okay? We are in Maine to be exact. Scotty is waiting to be picked up after school, okay? And he's in a little bit of a pickle because even though there's an incoming storm and there was early dismissal, like everyone left early, okay? Like they knew the storm was coming. Scotty and his friends, his 2 best friends, they decide they're going to ignore those warnings and they decide they're going to stay behind at school to work on a go-kart they are building. Now, it is then that reality starts to sink in, though, as the storm, when it's time for them to leave, has already begun. And it's starting to snow too heavily for anyone to be on the road. So that means no one can come and get them. Scotty finds himself stuck at school with 7 others, including his 2 best friends, and one of those 7 is a teacher. Now, the teacher decides he's going to leave, he's going to be the adult, he's going to go get help for them, and when he sets off, guess what? He never returns. It's then going to be up to the 6 of them that are left if they are going to survive. Now, their cell phones are not working, the power goes out, which means the heat goes out, the water stops, and they start to then question every choice that they make leading to this point, okay? Especially since not everyone is going to leave the school alive. I will tell you that right now. Now, this all too realistic story is one that shows the power of nature and asks, what would you do if you found yourself in that type of situation or other side? Like, we get snowstorms here. We've gotten some pretty crazy storms, okay, since I've lived here, okay? What would you do? This is Trapped. Life as we knew it. Okay, so everyone is super excited at first when they learn that a meteor is going to hit the moon, okay? So Miranda's living life in her small town in Pennsylvania, and she could care less about this upcoming event. But, you know, people are like, there's parties, there's like, everyone's gonna be out this night to watch this event happen. Now, when this event does happen now, okay, this meteor comes full blast, hits the moon, okay? Some problems start to cause from this though, because not only does this hit the moon, this meteor hits the moon so hard that it shifts the moon closer to Earth. Then everything changes. Because if you know anything about like science, astronomy, stuff like that, so much about our system here on Earth is dictated by the moon, okay? So soon there are natural disasters, like there's tidal waves, there's volcanoes, there's earthquakes, there's complete weather shifts. And Miranda and her family now have to rely on one another for survival as the electricity stops, the food supplies dwindle, there's no running water, deaths start to pile up, disease becomes rampant, society takes on a whole different aspect that has never really been seen before. Yeah. This dystopian survival story, it's the first in a trilogy, okay? So I will tell you, you do have to read this trilogy in order to truly understand everything that's going on. We'll have you turning the page after page because you will want to find out what happens to Miranda and her family. Like, you will become so invested in their story. You will not want to wait what happens, okay? Again, all 3 books are out. Trilogy is complete. This is life as we knew it. Monument 14. Okay, so this is the first book in another series. Okay, so if you're looking for a series, this might be a good one. Okay, there's multiple volumes in this series. It is the start of any other day when Dean and his younger brother, they board their respective school buses and head off to start their day like any other, okay? It is then, though, that they're making their way to school that their buses end up in a horrific hailstorm. And the bus drivers, they do the best thing they think that they can do. They take these 2 buses, they drive to the closest superstore, like a Walmart-esque place, okay? And they go there in order to take safety, okay? But between the 2 buses, there are 14 students, and the adults, they decide they're gonna leave the students there, and they're gonna leave so they can go find help. Here's a common theme you kind of start figuring out, okay? And before they know it, it's just them, and it's going to be up to all of them to come together if they are going to survive. Since things just get worse from there, okay? You have this hailstorm, there's an earthquake, which then causes a subsequent dangerous chemical spill, and they know the chances of someone coming to rescue them are slim, and they are getting slimmer by the moment, okay? As they start to learn how to survive as well as how to cope with the loss of life they once knew, every decision is going to have an equal reaction, okay? And that's going to take some time to figure out. Now, if you enjoy a book with a large cast of characters, okay, so there are 14 in this story. They each play a role. You get to know each of them, okay? So if you like a book with a large cast of characters, and one that will make you wonder, again, what would you do if you found yourself in this situation? It's going to be a normal day, and then it isn't. This one, your next read, this is Monument 14. The Living. Okay, this is by Matt De La Pena. Amazing author. So Shy's job for the summer is on board a luxury cruise liner in the Pacific Ocean. And it sounds like it's going to be a fun job, right? I mean, like, that would be a fun summer job, being on a cruise in the Pacific Ocean for the whole summer. But Shy quickly learns that it's going to be anything but that, starting with his first voyage, okay? Because it is on this voyage that he runs into this gentleman who's on board, and this gentleman is threatening to commit suicide. And Shy tries to convince him not to, unsuccessfully, okay? So Shy deals with the fact that this man committed suicide in front of him, plus he thinks this man is now haunting him. Things then get even worse from there because it is on his next outing on board the cruise ship that there is an earthquake, okay? And if you know something about science, okay, if there's an earthquake in the ocean, what can that honestly lead to, which we have seen? That's right, that would be a tsunami, okay? The tsunami comes, the cruise ship takes a direct hit, okay? Shy ends up being one of the few who survives and then makes his way onto a lifeboat. And now he is in survival mode, okay? Shy is going to have to figure out how, not only is he going to be able to survive in the middle of the Pacific Ocean on a lifeboat. I mean, like, there's not a lot of, there to begin with. But he's also stuck with the spoiled rich girl who has been nasty to him the whole time, okay? Now, this adventure thriller will keep you on the edge of your seat. Even though you may think you know what's going to happen next, expect the unexpected with this one, okay? If you like a book that keeps you, on the edge, you think you know where it's going, and you get that, slap your face moment, yeah, right here, The Living. And our last one is Ashfall. Okay, so 15-year-old Alex finds himself home alone in Iowa when, again, something crazy happens. That would be a volcano erupts in Yellowstone National Park. And now most of North America is covered in ash. And the infrastructure that was our society is no longer there. When he starts to see crime goes up, because that's kind of what happens in these types of situations and scenarios, he decides, that he has to set off, to go find where his family is currently staying in Illinois, okay? So the only way he knows that he can possibly travel is on skis. So he gets skis out and he starts making his way toward Illinois, because that's where they were supposed to be. And he hopes they are still there. There's no guarantee they are. It is on this journey that he faces dramatic weather changes, short supplies of food, and other necessities like water. And he has to make choices that he never dreamed of making. Now, this story is not for the faint of heart, I will tell you that. The author does provide some pretty graphic descriptions in terms of violence. There is some sexual assault, and there are deaths. But it's one that will keep you turning the page. It's incredibly well written. And you want to know what's going to happen to Mike. Like, you become so invested in this journey, both outward and inward he is going on, okay? Now, this is the first in a completed trilogy. Again, you do have to read it in order to understand where the story's going, storylines, characters, that sort of thing. But this one is so good. Like, you will want to check out the second one at the same time as this one, because even though it looks hefty, I promise you will fly through this one ashfall. So these are just 6 books that deal with natural disasters, right? Who knew there were so many natural disaster stories here in our library? But I promise you we have these and we do have more. So feel free to come on out to the library, check out some of these if you want a good natural disaster read, or we will help you find that other natural disaster book, or it doesn't even have to be a natural disaster book. We'll help you find whatever that perfect book is you are looking for, okay? So I hope you have an incredible week, and I hope you tune back next time. It will be a whole new Teen Book Spotlight.